You're scrolling through your phone and see that your parents texted you a screenshot. It's a YouTube ad. Someone claiming they turned $5,000 into $247,000 in Bitcoin. Your mom wants to know if this could fix their retirement. You freeze. You know better. But what if you're wrong? This isn't a story about get-rich-quick schemes. This is about the exact moment a retiree with a fixed income and a fading future looks at crypto and sees a lifeline instead of a minefield. So why is that moment so dangerous? It's not because crypto is inherently evil, because it's not. It's because the math behind retirement is absolutely unforgiving. Let's start with what nobody talks about, the actual numbers. A 67-year-old retiring on Social Security gets roughly $1,800 to $2,200 monthly, if they're lucky. That's about $21,600 to $26,400 per year. Rent alone in most American cities runs $1,200 to $1,800. And then, after food, utilities, and medications, suddenly that fixed income isn't fixing much anymore. And it's shrinking every month because inflation doesn't care about your age. If you like what you've seen so far, please like and subscribe and share this video so we can continue to grow this channel. And always consult with your financial, investment, and tax advisors before making a significant financial decision. So, a retiree looks at crypto and does some quick mental math, thinking that if they take their last $100,000 in savings, maybe money from a house sale or inheritance, and turn it into Bitcoin, maybe they can get 15% annual returns. That's $15,000 a year. Added to Social Security, that's nearly $40,000 annually. Seems livable, dignified, not desperate. But the flaw isn't in the math. Rather, and most importantly, it's in the timeline. Here's what crypto portfolios actually look like. Bitcoin in 2021 hit $69,000. By 2022, it dropped to $16,500. That's not a dip.
That's not a correction. That's a 76% evaporation of capital.
A retiree who bought at the peak and then needed to withdraw $1,500 monthly for rent would have been forced to sell at absolute bottom. They would have crystallized losses instead of riding them out. You can't wait months or years for a recovery when you're 70 and your heating bill is due tomorrow. The dramatic decline in 2022 was triggered by rising global interest rates, severe inflation, and the devastating insolvencies of major industry players like Celsius, Three Arrows Capital, and the FTX exchange. And although Bitcoin recovered and set all-time highs exceeding $126,000 in late 2025, likely due to the SEC approval of U.S. spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds that allowed massive capital inflows from Wall Street firms, the asset remains notoriously sensitive to macroeconomic conditions, Federal Reserve monetary policies, and shifting global liquidity. All things a pensioner can't control or predict. This is the invisible killer in retirement crypto strategies: time arbitrage failure. Wall Street calls it sequence of returns risk. Economists use fancy terms. But what it actually means is this: the order of gains and losses matters more than the total. A young investor can absorb a 50% crash. They have 30 years to recover. A retiree has maybe 15 to 20 years of life expectancy remaining. And that timeline is compressed even further because they're withdrawing constantly. They're not buying and holding. They're selling into crashes to survive. So you think, okay, what if they don't go all in on Bitcoin? What if they diversify? 40% Bitcoin, 30% Ethereum, 20% stablecoins, 10% altcoins. On the surface, this sounds smart, but it's just a different flavor of the same trap. See, diversification only works if you understand what you own. And most people, most retirees especially, do not understand. They know Bitcoin's name. They've heard of Ethereum.
But do they know that Ethereum's value is based on network utility and developer adoption?
That altcoins have failure rates above 95%? that stablecoins have historically been used to prop up exchanges that later collapsed. A retiree with a financial advisor would never touch this. But a retiree without one, someone whose bank offers 1% interest on savings accounts, looks at crypto as the only game left. The only place where the odds appear to be weighted toward them instead of against them. And this is where the psychology turns dark. Because crypto isn't just marketed as an investment, it's marketed as rebellion. It's marketed as taking back control from the system. It's marketed as generational wealth transfer. And to someone on a fixed income, that message doesn't sound like a sales pitch. It sounds like survival. You see Facebook groups called Crypto for Seniors, Telegram channels with names like Retirement Bitcoin Fund, subreddits with posts like, "My grandma just put $50K in crypto. Here's my strategy." And buried in the comments are the real stories. A 72-year-old man who liquidated a rental property to buy Shiba Inu. A widow who moved half her inheritance into a pre-sale that turned out to be a Ponzi scheme. A couple in their 60s who mortgaged their home to increase their crypto position. The crypto community will tell you these are isolated incidents, outliers, people who didn't do their research. But here's what research actually shows. Between 2021 and 2023, elderly Americans lost over $14 billion to crypto scams and failed investments. That's not millions, that's billions. And that number only counts reported losses. Most victims never report it because shame compounds the loss. But, and this is important, not all crypto failure is scam failure. Some of it is honest failure. Someone bought real Bitcoin or Ethereum at bad timing, got margin called during a crash, or panic sold into a bear market. Their mistake wasn't greed, it was impatience. It was also that they didn't understand that retirement isn't about returns. It's about reliable cash flow. A pension pays you every month, regardless of market conditions. Social Security pays you regardless of market conditions. This is why they exist. A crypto portfolio only pays you if you sell during up markets. And if you're a retiree, you're always selling. You're always withdrawing. You're always forcing yourself to crystallize losses at the worst possible moments. So, let's say you're the responsible adult in the room, the 28-year-old with a good job watching your 65-year-old parents contemplate this. What do you actually tell them? The honest answer isn't, crypto is bad. Crypto has use cases. It has legitimate technology underneath it, but none of those use cases are a retirement income stream for someone with 0 years of recovery time left. So, what is a retiree to do? Step 1, always, and I mean always, they should talk to their financial, investment, and tax advisors. Inquire whether it makes sense to reposition into a 60-30-10 split where 60% goes into diversified index funds to generate dividend income, 30% into bonds designed to pay a stable income, and 10% into something speculative if they have a need to feel current and alive. They should inquire whether a 60-30-10 split would safely generate a 4 to 5% annual return on their $100,000. That could be another $4,000 to $5,000 per year. Added to Social Security income, that's $25,000 to $31,000 annually. Not rich, but stable, livable. And crucially, if the market crashes 40%, their withdrawal ability dips rather than collapsing. But what if your parents act without getting professional advice first? They buy Bitcoin. They go all in. Maybe they get lucky. Maybe it goes up 30% in year 1, and they feel vindicated. But then year 2 comes, the market crashes, and they need to withdraw for medical bills. They sell at $56,000 when they bought at $100,000. They've locked in the loss permanently, and that scar shapes every financial decision going forward. They become either more conservative or more desperate, and both paths are worse than where they started. The real tragedy isn't the money, it's the time. Retirees have maybe 15 to 20 years left. They can't afford a 5-year recovery. They can't afford to be wrong. But the crypto narrative, the entire ecosystem built around democratizing wealth, is designed for people with time. It's designed for 25-year-olds who can wait for the next bull cycle. In 15 years, crypto technology might be good for pensions if cryptocurrency becomes stable enough, regulated enough, and income-generating enough. Maybe a retiree in 2040 can responsibly hold crypto as part of their portfolio.
But today, in 2026, the infrastructure and inherent protections are not there. The regulation doesn't fully exist. The stable income mechanisms don't fully exist. And unfortunately, the gap between "this could theoretically work someday" and "this cannot work now" is exactly where retirees are going broke. What you can tell your parents is this: if you're going to take any risk, understand that risk is only worth taking if one has the time to recover from it. Time is the one resource that retirement doesn't provide, because the math of crypto and the math of aging don't speak the same language.